The other way that China gets what it wants is for people to just do their bidding without even being asked. You all remember the Hunter Biden story. The Hunter Biden story that was on one of the oldest newspapers in the United States. Now, it started off as a whole story about Hunter Biden, the son of the then former vice president, working for a Ukrainian gas company, even though he did no work beforehand. And clearly this was some sort of a payoff to, well, curry favour with the establishment of the United States. Let's put that as the nicest way. But as the internal documents of his own laptop, which has been investigated for 2 years by the FBI, claim to show, is that the money that he gets out of these companies, and guess what, out of China, is all about buying access back to Dad. Back to Dad as a former vice president and now future president. The Electoral College will meet on Tuesday of this week in the United States. And pending any other court shenanigans, it would vote to make Joe Biden the next president. His son is accused of doing financial deals with China that he had no experience to put in place and no real knowledge of the business that he was involved in. Instead, all of this was written off as Russian disinformation. Just like the guy who claimed Donald Trump is fully in hoc with Russia, while literally he was in a relationship that followed him all the way from local council to federal government. The same political establishment say that the reality of the story about Biden was fake. And of course, the whole reason why this story had to be fake was because it wasn't good for Joe Biden. It wasn't good for Joe Biden to have a son who was doing business deals with countries that you wouldn't think he was either A, qualified for in areas like gas, or why would he be getting hundreds of millions of dollars out of Chinese banks for businesses? Why would a former business partner turn around and say, yeah, part of the money that was coming from, among others, China was going back to Dad? And even if the ultimate defence was he's a former politician, he's about to be the President of the United States. This is what matters. This is how China plays the long game. They do it with backbenchers in our state parliaments, be it in the upper or lower house. They do it with the billionaire business class here. They do it at the universities. They do it with former this, that and the others, from former significant Australian politicians at the federal level and at the state level. They play the long game. So somebody is always arguing their case back in the room, just like Canada in the Five Eyes, just like that bloke on the Intelligence Committee, and just like potentially the upcoming President of the United States. Now, we learn that despite the fact that the Jedi mind trick during the election campaign was this story doesn't exist, it does exist. It has always existed. And now the very same organisations that pretended it wasn't true during the election, now that they have got rid of the orange man and they get their guy in the White House in Biden, now they're willing to report on things, including NBC, that said Hunter Biden's tax inquiry is to focus on, guess what, his Chinese dealings. On the right, they're getting information that there is even more subpoenas coming about the relationships that this bloke has put in place. Is this bloke the back door to the next President of the United States? A bloke who welcomed China to the WTO, who literally toasted them at the White House when he was a heartbeat away from the presidency. That's why this matters. They play the long game, and we get called conspiracy theorists when we see the game they're playing. China is not a normal country. Chinese Australians, fine. Cool, normal. Welcome to the country. Enjoy yourself. But the dictatorship in China is not normal. It must be resisted. But that also means we have to do our best to have a look at all of the different ways they've got themselves into all of the different parts of Western society to do the bidding for them. Is it about to be the President of the United States? That's a frightening 4 years ahead. But of course the media will say nothing to see here.